Most of the people I know.
Sitting like crying in your apartment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, yeah.
All I did was just
Did you say
gain
crying in your
25
apartment?
pounds
Yeah,
and
Is that what you do?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
For
I
most
hear
of
that a
COVID.
lot.
Yeah.
Like, I was really
Oh,
lucky
yeah,
that
COVID,
that's
yeah.
kind of how it panned out. And
Well, I mean, like 50-50 too, though, right? Because again, like if you've got family back here and like responsibilities,
it got weird.
Yeah,
It did get weird, especially like around Christmas and like that sort of stuff.
yeah, absolutely.
So COVID affected you guys' tattooing obviously a lot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you were just off.
I started doing digital dog portraits.
I saw those.
Yeah.
Making that money.
Yep. Yeah. But then I realized everyone's dog portrait was mostly for their dead dog. So I had to go through write-ups of how their dog died and all these super sad fucking stories. Like, I'm like, this isn't what I signed up for. I just wanted to do cute shit for
Just wanted to
people's
do
animals.
puppies.
Yeah. No. And they're just like, yeah, my dog had cancer and then died of really slow. I'm like, Jesus fucking, like, just send me a picture of your dog.
Do you ever have clients do that with tattoos? Like they'll just, you at a party especially, and then they're just kind of like, anyways, my grandma died and we were really close and she loved roosters.
Dude.
And then she was,
You have no idea. So like, not to like get like at the downer shit out of the way, I got diagnosed like 2 years ago with a really early stage of leukemia.
Holy
it's like
fuck.
treatable. I'm fine. Everything's chill. We're good. It's fine.
is that why
But
you
like,
quit smoking and drinking?
yes, yeah. So that was the beginning of like cleaning everything out of my life. But once I like posted being like, hey, I'm starting treatment, so just like be patient with me. Like I'm cutting down on days. I get sleepy, yada yada yada. Yeah.
So now you just tattoo a lot of cancer people?
I mean, there's been a lot in the last little while. Yeah, to be honest.
That's so sad. I mean, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, like I get, like
It's kinda beautiful.
Yeah, no, it's really nice. It's like a special like moment for people, and like it's obviously a really important tattoo, and I get that. It's just some like when you're reading it, you're like, fuck, like I didn't. I just want to do pretty shit.
I just want to have a good day.
Yeah,
It's not like super heavy.
Yeah, especially if they start crying, I'm like, oh, you can't do like I'm gonna like run off that, and like you're like patting their back, and you're just like, don't
Oh,
fucking
no.
cry, don't do it. Yeah, like it's just So sometimes it's like heavy, and I'm like, oh man, like I just want a tattoo.
And it's cancer heavy, right? Most
Yeah,
times,
it's
or
usually
sickness heavy.
yeah, of course, yeah. Especially if they've like passed away and they want to do like the ashes thing or like any like that really like intense stuff, and they start telling you about it, and they start like welling up, and you're like, oh, I'm not good with this. Like I'm not good with emotion. Like
No?
don't
Do you
do
feel it too much?
I either feel it too much or I don't feel it at all. So I'm like I'm like one of the like
Either or.
yeah. I'll usually like really like just push it way down. But if I see them like it's like their mom passed away or something, I'm just like oh
God.
yeah, I don't wanna
That's
do it,
so
yeah.
heavy.
Yeah. So yeah. Other than that, love it.
Other than that, I love my job.
Yeah. It's great.
What's poppin', everybody? It's Amanda, and today we have a couple ornamental guests that are super legitimate. And I'll let you guys introduce yourselves with your handles because it'll be on point.
Sweet. My name's Alana, and Instagram handle is Alana Bellwoods.
my name's Gregory. My Instagram handle is Uncle Gregory. That's Uncle with a K.
And did you always know what your handle was going to be, or did it just happen and then you got into
I
tattoos?
changed mine. Mine used to be like government name, and I was like, I don't want any of that, especially for traveling. Like, I didn't want my like name showing up on like convention things, so if they wouldn't be able to tell if I was working or not.
Okay.
So
Oh,
I
fair.
switched it to like the shop as like my last name.
Right.
Yeah.
And yours is cute.
Mine was actually, it's even cuter.
Yeah.
It was actually a personal account when I started it. And
Oh, was it?
I was babysitting my 6-year-old niece at the time
Oh,
and asked her what I should call my Instagram. And she said, Uncle Gregory.
Oh
And
God,
she
it is
says
cuter.
it with a K, yeah.
Oh, with a K.
She's like, Uncle. Like, it's a hard K.
Uncle.
So I just spelled it that way, yeah.
Uncle Gregory. Well, it's a cute handle, anyways. And you guys want to blast your shop? You work at the same shop, right?
That's right.
Yes. Yeah. Bellwoods Tattoo in Toronto.
Right. Whereabouts in Toronto?
We're right on Ossington Avenue, so really close to like the Trinity Bellwoods area is like the like
Bellwoods
landmark. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know Toronto that well. And how long have you guys been tattooing?
I've been tattooing for about 10 years now.
And I'm like rolling up on like 13.
I love how earlier we had mentioned
I
that you're I
It's
see you
like doing
calculating,
math.
like,
We've done this 3 times
10.
now. I'm like, yeah.
I don't remember what we were talking about earlier, but oh yeah, you do conventions. Mm-hmm. You travel, and where do you travel to? Oh no, not conventions.
Not
Do you do
conventions. I only usually do like Montreal convention for like in Canada stuff. I've always been afraid to do like international conventions, especially before the like name change thing. So I'll usually fly out to Los Angeles during like seasonal depression month and just get some sunshine and
I think I
tattoos
want to
out
try
there.
that. That sounds
it's fun.
so good.
It's fun. There's so many people that like you can always find like a pocket of people that are just down with your stuff. There's just so
People
much.
just must be so much happier. Have you ever seen the meme that talks about like you don't believe in seasonal depression until it's like March or April and it's that first like really sunny day and it feels like you just popped a molly?
Yeah.
And you're like, wow.
People say thank you when you like hold the door open for you. You're like, whoa, the five and like talk to anybody in 4 months. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's just
I feel like people are happier elsewhere.
yeah.
And you don't do conventions, but you travel like a motherfucker.
I'll do conventions in Canada.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't done anything overseas or in the States for conventioning, but traveling, yes, I travel a lot.
Yeah, Jay, I don't know if you told you, this guy was backpacking in Nepal while smoking cigarettes up in the mountains.
I mean, I'm always smoking cigarettes.
Yeah, but like also
Yes.
like hiking. Where was your favorite place to just travel?
To just travel, I mean, I've been a lot of places.
You don't have to give me a fave. A couple of your faves if it's easier
Indonesia
that
was
way.
great. Morocco
Indonesia?
was great. Nepal was a real trip.
A trip?
Yeah, I mean, I was gone a month, and it felt like I was gone for ages, like 6 months. Like it was like
Do a lot
different
of drugs then?
planets. No, it was just like it's so culturally different.
Oh yeah, like
Yeah,
slower.
and their drugs are good.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, did you go and do like what is it, DMT and shit like that?
No, I don't get into
Okay.
that. No.
No, I don't judge anybody that does. After watching a couple episodes of Joe
It's
Rogan, you
harsh.
feel like you should try it, right?
Sure.
He reps that shit. I don't know what else there is to do. Frog poison. Isn't that what it is?
DMT. I don't know
I
what
don't
DMT
know.
is.
I've had enough friends do it and tell me about it that it's kind of like scared me off of it. That's like I don't need to open that door. Like I pay enough for
I don't
like
wanna see
therapy
aliens.
and give her more shit to
No,
work
really.
on. Like it's just too much
Some
at
people
that point.
use it as therapy. I'm sure there
Yeah.
are some people that use it as in like artistic.
There's a lot of that.
Ironically, people that do DMT, they talk about there's like DMT art,
Yeah.
which almost reminds me of ornamental. It's just pattern work.
It is like sacred geometry type
Yeah.
thing. Yeah. Yeah, because it's all like bound in like nature and shapes and stuff. So they end up seeing those like elements kind of come to them. It's like,
Sacred elements.
yeah.
Briefly, we're trying to, you might know about this too, Jay, but we were trying to, I was like asking them more about their style because there's apparently a lot of different, like almost subgenres within ornamental, which makes sense. But there's like, can you dive into that a little bit?
Well, I think it like just the whole scene's pretty like in depth. Like there's a lot of stuff going on. There's pattern workers, and then you've got folk art that's kind of drawn from patterns, and some of it has meaning, some of it doesn't. And you can really pull from all of that and be inspired from that, and build your own database of things you want to tattoo or draw, and make art out of. So yeah, like there's a lot to be inspired by, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you
weird.
guys find you fit into one category over another? Or anything that you like specifically like doing more than others, especially just because the scene, like you said, is so varied and so wide ranged?
That I like having stuff with subject matter. So like, you know, like someone wants a wolf. Cool. Like I want to do that, but I want to apply these patterns to that design.
Yeah.
That's kind of my thing, where I find a lot of people are just like geometrics. It's just like mass coverage, and like I love that sort of stuff too. But I like it more as like a background.
Okay,
That
so
is an
subject matter
element.
and using ornamental to kind of
Yes.
fill it in, go with the body flow. Is there a lot of body flow within ornamental? Like I know I've seen like on your guys' pages, like when you do like chests or necks, you work with the body flow.
Yeah, yeah, you try. There's definitely like elements you can pull that help if you're going around like an elbow or trying to like create a flow down an arm. And then more of the stationary stuff will be on those like flat parts of the body that you would.
That are rounded.
Yeah, yeah, that kind of fits that way. Or use like heavy black to kind of carve out like sections of the arm or something.
Okay, true.
Yeah.
Very satisfying to go with body flow and using that style.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to ask with doing your style is when you guys are doing back pieces or when you're doing elbows, me just stenciling something that's not perfectly symmetrical or that's not perfect patterns is already stressful, let alone the people that do your shit. I can't, the sweat that you must predict, like when you're trying to get like how do you do an elbow? Like it stresses me, or like do you like do half of the back and then the bottom half when you stencil? Did you just fucking
So
try to do the whole thing in one?
I had like a couple posts blow up because I've been doing the like stenciling like reels and stuff. Yeah. Where like I'll do like one shot stencils of like back pieces where I
hate you. So talented.
and I'm using the green stencils, which everybody hates. So it's like fun to like watch people fight in the comments about it. So
Why do people hate it?
Because they say it like wipes off too easy, and then I'll post a video of me like half done lining with like the green still in the center and be like, it wipes off too easy, and like basically just like throw it in. People
I
feel
can't
like
use
yeah,
it.
everyone in the
Like,
shop
I-
hates it. I'm
just
also the only one in the shop that uses it. It's
horrible
like
idea.
Why do you use it?
I don't know. Well, because if I'm doing
I like green.
yeah, well, if I'm doing like finer line stuff, I find it way easier to see
Yeah,
like your lines or your dots or whatever, as opposed to the purple. Because when you white, then it kind of or like wipe the purple, it like kind of like mushes around a little bit. So with like fine line, or if you're doing like gray lining stuff in, you can actually see where that line is and if
That's
it's in
fair.
or not. So I like it for that, and I somehow it stays for me. I don't know, but
You
yeah, I just
also go crazy though,
Must
and you
be
do
the
like the
way.
4-quadrant.
yes,
back
yeah,
pieces
yeah.
as
So with
well,
like
too.
stenciling, I started chopping up my stencils. Where if I'm doing a back, I'll like literally chop it up into 4 quadrants and like run a line down their spine, find the center, and then find where I want the top to be and the bottom to be, and then I'll do like first panel, second panel, line those up.
So middle first, and
Middle
then
first, because especially when you get down to like mid back, where some people have that like divot in, where usually you place your stencil and then there's like a hollow point, because if you jam it in, then it mashes everything on the sides. So I'll run it from that, and you don't get like a air
Run it
bubble.
from the center.
Run it from the center. Make sure it's nice in that divot, and then pull it out to the side. Do the same side there, and then do the bottom 2 quadrants after that, and then just like do a single peel off. It's like the most satisfying.
no,
thing
no.
ever.
It's pretty impressive to watch her do.
Yeah.
do you do little back pieces or anything, or how do you go?
I
Do you have a
have.
similar process?
No.
What?
Not at all.
What's your process?
I either try to one-shot it, or I tend to split it up into, I'll take my drawing and separate it into sections that are still centered. So they still have a center. It's not like I'm working off a center, and I'll kind of plan from the shoulders down to mid-back
And just do that portion.
and just do that portion. And then I can kind of like extend lines in my drawing to then when I line up the next section, I can just overlap.
Yeah.
And it makes it a lot easier. And it's like, I can commit to something without having to like try and re-stencil it again. It's like, this is my day, and I can plan it around my day. So I've got a 6-hour day. This is what we're going to do in 6 hours, and just focus on that.
That would be tremendously, to me, obviously, who does not do your guys' style, it seems tremendously intimidating to have one to do lines. Like, I don't do like just one pass lines frequently, and if I do, it's very minor. And it's impressive to do, especially on like back skin or certain areas, right? To do nice crispy lines that are on different areas, it's
Yeah.
much different to process like than just fucking coloring things in different ways. But it's intimidating to lay that on and be like, I'm gonna block out a whole back
Yeah.
and do crispy lines on a whole back, especially if it's really. So, do you guys just hand draw it in if it smudges or something?
Yeah, like we'll kind of go back in with like Sharpies and like just I try to just keep an eye of like where my hands are, or like lay down paper towel if I'm like resting on a section, just so that my gloves aren't like making it kind of like sweaty and start to rub
Yeah, because
off
you know
and
that green
stuff.
ink or whatever.
I know, yeah, it goes to my
Fall
skin.
right
Yes,
off.
I know, yeah, it's crazy.
I'm gonna make this a clip and then get people to comment on and trash your green shit.
Oh my god, there's gonna be so like those are the only comments I have, and being like, I don't know why you use this shit. It's like I'm like, okay, like I don't know, man. Yeah,
So many
like-
I'll
opinionated
just keep
tattooers for
slaying
what?
back pieces.
yeah, it's just like I don't know what to tell you.
I just dry people out. I just like saturate them with 70% alcohol before I
Oh.
stencil, so that they're
yeah.
just like, their skin's so thirsty
Yeah.
that it's just like, it's in there.
And that
They
helps
go
a lot,
home.
eh?
They go home with stencils.
So that's a good piece of advice for people who maybe don't know that.
Yeah.
Is to alcohol the crap out of your.
Get all that oil off, get all that lotion they probably put on.
some
Like
chicks
people
or
with
whatever.
like self tanner, it's like, and then the second you touch it with alcohol too, you're like, ooh, that's gonna be a problem for you later. It's just
Oh,
because you see the yeah.
so that one little pale patch you're wiping off.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but that's a good piece of advice. I just want to articulate on that, on doing the alcohol thing, and then what's the stencil stuff that you use?
Spirit.
Use Spirit. I use
Yeah.
stencil stuff.
Stencil stuff? Spirit. I don't know if I've.
It's the same company that makes the actual thermal paper. They came out
green one?
with they came out with a green stencil stuff version of their thing, and I was like, okay, cool. I used to use I think it's Tim Hendrick who owns it, but it was the Saltwater Tattoo Supply Company, and they used to make that green stencil,
That stuff
and
was
that
cool.
shit was like, you would like touch your glove to it, and you would hear like it had so much tack to it, and then
You like that?
I loved it because it made that stencil stick so well. And then they ran out for like a little while, and I've been waiting for them to come back. I think it's back now, so I might order it. But that
And
shit
what's it
was
called?
awesome. It was from Saltwater Tattoo Supply out in the States.
Okay.
And they made their own like stencil, like green stencil stuff.
Huh.
And it was
Really tacky.
the best. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Noted. And you use stencil stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always have.
Easy.
It's always
Just-
been around. It's always around.
Yeah. Simple too. Do you know anybody that uses the speed stick?
I mean, the
You
first
used
guy
to?
that ever taught me used to use, like, so I started actually learning tattooing in Italy.
What?
And yeah, so that was super cool. It was like some like,
Tell me more.
Some old biker in Florence. Like I went there for school and then I just didn't really
For
want to.
school,
I went to OCAD
Oh.
for drawing and painting, and they have like a program where you can go to Florence and like study there and like go on like day trips and go see like all the shit that you see in like your books. And so I went to school like with just like fast paint stuff, and then I started harassing like the local tattoo shop and being like, so like I brought my machine here from Canada and like have fake skin and stuff. Like, can you like
Oh,
actually like
You already had some shit going on, and then you
Yeah.
brought it there.
yeah.
How, what, like, so you just ordered it? Tattoo
Well,
stuff.
I got it from the convention, the tattoo convention in Toronto when it came through, because I
Alright.
was already working at a tattoo shop, and they were like, just like buy. It wasn't very like a
Yeah.
old school, you know.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I brought it there and was practicing on like grapefruit and all that kind of stuff. But I wanted to be in a shop, so I went and like harassed this dude every day, and like I spoke Italian, so it was easy. So he was like, okay, cool, like start coming after school or before school or whatever, and he would like still put stencils on with like speed stick and like showed me how to like solder needles in the back with like no
Oh, so you got a
ventilation.
little
and,
piece of
like-
that.
Yes, yeah. So I still got like he was very like old school in that sense, and was like.
Speed sticks and making needles.
Yeah, yeah. Someone was moving their leg too much one day, so he saran wrapped them to the bed. Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, I have a picture of it like way back on my Instagram. It was like, yeah. Some days I wish I could still do that, but you can't do it anymore.
Why not?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm sure
Probably
you can,
could.
but like I'm
There's a consent form for
yeah.
that somewhere.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a Yelp review lingering after that, but I mean,
No
I
shit. I
wanted
saw a
to.
guy that was zip tied to a table at
Zip
Nick's.
tied.
The guy was just like, "I'm done. Like you've taken too many breaks," and then like fully zip tied him to the table.
The guy just ended up having a kink and actually loved it.
Yeah, he's like sitting off the bed the whole time. Please don't,
He's a wreck.
don't take it off.
I've never even like thought of that as an option. That's so weird to just be like, oh, just tie them down. But I guess it's the most legit option other than just stop it. What do? Like you
stop
guys, you
moving.
cannot afford to have like people can move around and have a conversation a little bit. There's a
Yeah.
bit of give to it because I'm doing stuff like this, right? Like
Still,
depending
yeah.
on what I'm doing. But you guys doing big, long, beautiful, crispy lines, you don't have any room for that. How do you handle your little bitch clients?
We've joked around about this where we've kind of like caught on to each other that we kind of have this like cadence to when the client shows up, and you kind of like ask the questions and have the conversations while you're setting up and while you're stenciling. So when it comes down to like time for tattooing, like there's nothing left to say
Right.
for the most part, and people are just like, you kind of just get into a zone together, and which is really
Yeah.
nice, and you can just focus, and then like you take that break and you're back to conversation land.
Right. Okay.
So it's like a lot of music in the shop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't like chat a bunch while we're doing it. I find that helps people moving around. Just
Right.
because, like, you know, they're not trying to like look back at you or like move or like.
Or talking
know.
with their hands.
Yes. Yeah. Talking
Yeah.
with their hands a bunch. So yeah,
That
we are
makes sense.
pretty like zoned in, and then also just like I'll stand and like stretch down on people. Like I'll
Push
try to.
in.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll just kind of.
Wait.
Yes.
You find the weight helps a lot, or
Yeah.
mainly
I
just for
would
your technique.
I would say for both. Just like getting a good stretch, and then also like if they are moving around, like a little more pressure, and like sometimes they'll get the message if they're moving around too much.
No,
Like,
yeah, it makes
yeah,
sense.
Yeah, so
Sometimes it's like you don't want to like have to say it because it feels rude to say almost because like can
Yeah.
you stop fucking moving?
Yeah, 'cause
But with
it's
your
natural,
you'd
but-
have to.
yeah.
Like you have to do.
yeah, if I'm
One
doing
shot
your
lines.
like arm,
Yeah.
I'm just like
I usually tell people like we're taking a break. Like
So that you can
we're taking a
gather
break
yourself?
because you're moving too much.
Yeah. Okay. You clearly
figure
need
it
a
out.
break. Yeah.
Yeah. And like people are cool with that. Like they get it. They showed up. They know what they signed up for the most part. So
Yeah, and then I guess if you're doing larger stuff, you could just do what you can, and if they're moving too much, just sessions over, or
Like gray it in, or like move to like a smaller
Yeah.
needle and just kind of like
Bloodline
bounce
smaller
it in.
needles
session.
are a little bit easier for people to handle.
I find when you're ghosting something in, like
Yeah.
a bloodline or like a gray, like really just a swift line, then I'm gonna blast over with like an 11 round shader later.
Yeah, so it doesn't even matter if like you have a couple like little patches here and there that aren't actually in. It's just like getting in the stencil before it wipes off.
We're talking about how many needles, like the different types of round shaders and all that, or liners. I just did a back at a convention, and I used a 35 mag that helped me get through a back in 2 days.
Yeah.
35 mag,
Yeah.
fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's bigger than that. There's like 100 mags or
Just a
whatever.
shovel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know if that's saturated.
It's
don't
for
know.
content. It's
I
like it's just
went up
like
to 39s for blackouts, and I realized that it's not for me. I mean, I'm sure people can do what they need to do and get a great saturation, but I've gone back down to like I think the biggest I'll use is a 25.
25 mag.
Yeah, just to get like I find I get better saturation that way.
Do you ever use it to line because it got like that crispiness on the side? Do you ever?
I used to do that a lot.
Used
And
to
I would
do
always get yelled at. They're like, "You're not supposed to be doing that." I'm like, "Why?
Do what I want."
Yeah, so it's fine.
So you don't do it anymore?
I'll do it sometimes. Like if I'm doing like an imagery and like ornamental stuff, it doesn't really work if I'm trying to do like ornamental stuff because it has to be like a little more crispy. But like like I don't know, like hair strokes, like in like a bird or something. Like I'll just turn my mag to the side and do that just to like
Yeah.
save time. But
You?
yeah,
I've definitely done it. Yeah, I've crisped up the line with the edge of that thing,
Yeah.
and just like and dot it in.
What's the biggest liner or round shader that you have used? Because you guys do big bold lines sometimes on backs or something. Do you have a preferred? Liner?
usually the most of the stuff that you'll see is either done with an 11 or 14, and then I'll double up on the line.
11 or 14 round liner?
Liner.
Liner,
Yeah.
okay. And then you'll double up on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Twos, because it's not it's like a little bit hollow in that line. Like you can see the lines, or
Yeah, kind of. So like if if my stencil's like really thick and I have a line like that's, like that, I'll just kind of go on like the one side, the other side, and then just go back in and fill it in
Yep.
for whatever's like hollow in between. That's like, rather than getting like, like a gigantic like round shader or something that would need a little more power to kind of push. I find if I'm just using like a smaller one, running the edges and then filling it in, I get more of like a crisp edge to it too.
I found that too. I used to use round shaders to line things in.
Yeah.
So I had like a 14 round shader, and I've started like as things came back, you kind of want to go back in and crisp up the edges. So I've started doubling.
because it's really much softer when you use a round shader.
It's
I just feel like the edges are just more hazy. Like you
Yeah.
don't get as much of like a really like
Not
nice
crispy.
Yeah.
You go for a liner,
yeah.
Yeah.
and then you
Cool.
double it up.
Yeah.
What do you run your stuff at?
I switched over to only using my Neotat because I switched over to cartridges.
Yep.
So I run that thing at 11 for everything.
Yeah. Okay.
Just
Sweet. Wow.
Yeah.
My favorite liner is it's an old Sunskin, and I run that at around 8 volts.
8 volts. Okay. That's That's about average.
Yeah.
Okay, within your style or not, what is a style that you will never want to touch again? And that could be something like, did you guys always start off doing ornamental and you're like, this is what would you start doing?
I mean, I started off doing like kind of flashy things and line work stuff, and I like lining. Like I love line work. It's my favorite part of tattooing. I could line all day, so that kind of led me into the ornamental, and then seeing like work from artists like Thomas Hooper, that really blew my mind, and I was just like dead set on this aesthetic, just like ornamental and just beautifying bodies, as opposed to like I didn't need all the heavy concept. I just wanted to like stylize. And, yeah.
And what's a style that you will never, and that could be within, because you were talking about Polynesian and shit, and that's something you guys say you kind of stay away from.
Yeah. Yeah,
Why?
there's too much stuff attached to it in terms of like cultural meaning and what can go on who. Like if a pattern's only supposed to be on women or whatever the case may be. It's like the same reason why I've never touched Japanese is because there's so much like folklore and meaning and like stuff that you kind of need to know that I'm just like, I don't read. I don't want to do the research.
I
on
don't
this.
read.
Yeah, I just
Not for
gave
me.
up on that. Yeah.
I didn't know about the gender thing when it comes, which makes sense. Even some of the, I don't know where, but the people that get the native style tattoos like on their face
New
and
Zealand,
everything.
Maori.
Yeah, okay. There's things that, young men or young women or whatever, like so many contributing factors, but to do with gender.
Yeah.
and tattoos, which is
And I think in like culturally, in some cases with this like kind of Polynesian styles and stuff, like it's like very marking of who you are within the community. And so you don't want to take away from someone else's experience of like, this is your culture. So like, you do walk a fine line between like reappropriation and being inspired. And I try to be really conscious of that with my work and like be very upfront that I'm inspired by this style for this piece. Just so people know that it's not that, it's my interpretation of it.
inspired by a certain type of mandala or whatever.
Or like,
that's
like a
based off of
mandala or like a style of folk art or like, I guess in some cases like Trajva is a style that I'm really into.
what the fuck is that?
And Trajva, it's from India.
In Trajva?
No, just Trajva.
Just trash.
Say it again.
Trajva.
Say it in
Trajva.
a sentence. Trajva?
I love your Trajva tattoo.
I love your Trajva. Ah, it's such a
So
feels an
sexy.
appropriate word.
Right?
Yeah. That's a nice Trajva.
It's too exotic.
It's really beautiful work though, and it's like like small motifs with using very simple patterns, and
And you
Yeah.
get inspired by that and then put it into your work and then add some elements, like you said,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
What's your favorite element?
I like stuff inspired by temples, so like Buddhist temples and Hindu temples and the art that you find around there.
Are you like? I feel like you're one of those artists. Like there are some artists like, well, even Derek does this. He does a lot of texture. He goes into nature and he finds things and he's like gets into it. And he's like, oh, look at this fucking texture. But you do that with like inspirational things. Like you go and you travel and you look at temples. And
Yeah.
you look at different pattern work in different like
And
countries.
A lot of the time, this is why when I'm traveling, like I'll take my month and not tattoo. So I come back really hungry to tattoo, and then I have to digest all this stuff I saw from all these temples,
And then you just create.
and then go from there, because it just kind of gets up in the ether and you pump it out.
It's crazy
Yeah.
that everybody has a different process. Like, what's your process is likely? Because I know you just get seasonal depression and rip over to fucking Los Angeles.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I'm not finding any of that there really. But yeah, before I have traveled a lot too, and like the same thing. I would like always have my camera with me, so I'd be taking same thing, a lot of architecture, any sort of like old churches, temples, just looking back, just because I haven't been to the same places as him. So mostly finding my stuff online that he's been able to see in person. I'll kind of like pull from that, or just kind of seeing what else is out in the world happening in those specific areas, especially now that we have like Instagram. It's not like, it's not some random website or like you have to be there to see what that person's tattooing. So it's nice to kind of be able to like pull from different styles and places and just kind of see what's going on and then kind of make it your own.
Yeah. Social media, do you feel like that? Because you know how, well, you guys get it. You've been tattooing for 10, 13 years. When you started tattooing, you were talking about how you had a heavy influence on like the one or two guys that did some crazy stuff, and it blew your mind because back in the day, you just didn't have the internet to explore that kind of stuff. But now we do. So there's just like a lot better art, a lot better content and creativity, and it's easier to be creative. But that also brings me next to the next one, which is AI, which is like the next step into that, which I do think it can be a positive thing, and it's just making everybody's game and artwork get better, whether you want to hate on it or not. I'm finding it to be positive for artists. Do you guys use AI sometimes?
I
do.
100% agree. I use it as well, especially for all my like imagery stuff. I just think it gets you out of the same, 4 or 5 bird references that you always see tattooed. Like skulls, the same positioning, the same, like there's really great photos when you just Google something or Pinterest something, and those are going to be your first hits, and then people just get stuck on those and they don't really like change it, especially if you're doing like more realistic or illustrating from that photo. So AI has been huge for finding different ways of like, skulls if you don't like have one, you know what I mean, around to kind of like move around and take photos of.
So you just
it's
got one
been
skull if you
great.
do, right? So you
Yeah.
can't
That's the thing. Yeah, they all kind of look the same and stuff. But with AI, you can just tell it to do anything, and it's just
boom.
there you go. Yeah.
Do you use it sometimes?
I have never used it. I've
used
played with it. I've never used it for tattoo purposes. I mean, I'm super interested in it. I'm also just like a bit
Feeling
of a like
defeated by it?
computer Luddite. So like I
Oh,
just
yeah?
don't know, and so I just don't. I just like I stay away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're going to end up trying to incorporate it, or do you like the process that you have now?
I like my process. I mean, I like sitting down with my books and getting inspired from that. Like sometimes, you like open up, like I've got a pretty extensive library at home, and I like to open that up, and like I don't know what I'm gonna draw, and I'll go through a book and be like, that's cool, and then it'll morph as I'm drawing and turn into something else, or it turns into the thing I drew just turned into the corner of a piece that becomes something else. Like I do everything. I have like layers and layers of stuff when I draw.
That's fascinating. What a different process.
Yeah.
Like everybody's artistic process on what they end up tattooing is much different. You know what I mean? And yours is so artsy. You know
It's a
what I mean?
little bit. And I've been trying to incorporate that more into my work by drawing directly onto people
Ooh,
with it.
that's fun.
I like that.
Freeing, right? And then you can go right to the body flow. Does that stress you out?
Yeah, I usually no. I like I like pre-planning. I like sitting in my bed with like a full pot of coffee and just like changing it and like drawing over a photo and doing this, and then I'll come in and I'm like, oh, what are you doing? He's like, I was gonna draw it on today. I'm like, I don't. Why?
Gives
Like,
you
I don't-
anxiety?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is bold. You have to have a level of confidence to be able to just draw right on somebody.
It's a good mix, and it's usually like specific portions that I am quite confident with.
Jim, do you draw like pattern work
Yes.
by hand?
I grid people. and-
Motherfucker.
Yeah.
yeah.
That is crazy. That's impressive, though. I've done that a couple times when I had like once or twice probably. And not something just out of the blue, but it was like there was a pattern that was coming up onto an arm, and I just wanted to pull it out a little bit.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I had to grid it, and then but even then, because I'm not gonna like print it out.
Yeah.
That's even more terrifying.
And you're never gonna line it up, so like you have no choice, right? You have
Yeah.
to draw it in.
Yeah, but you don't want it to take forever. I don't know if you've ever drawn something and then it ends up taking longer.
I think that's what stresses me out about it is like me being like, oh my God, do they think this is taking too long? Or are they mad that this is, it's like, I'm like in this like weird frame where I'm just like, oh, there's so much time passing. Like I feel like they're freaking out. So it makes me freak out. Just overthinking.
Yeah.
But I mean,
That's very
it's
human.
stressful. Yeah.
Do you not have that anxiety?
I mean, if they don't like
the most
it,
chill.
if they don't
person
like
ever.
it, we're just gonna wipe it off and start over.
Try again, man.
Like pretty much, yeah.
All right.
See, and
Yeah,
I would be
pretty
like, I'm going
easygoing
home.
about
Like
it,
I'll
like-
book you in
Maybe we should
another
try
day.
another day.
Yeah,
I'm in
just
the
like
weird
this is not.
headspace.
Yeah. Like the moon didn't line up right today. Like I just want to. We'll try it again next time. Like I just no.
Yeah, I can imagine like with yours, like especially doing bigger pieces, like I don't know how long it is that process to design something. For me, I can usually rip things up. Usually, I'm like doing a collage of photos, which is why I use AI because I need a new bear reference.
Right.
I'm not gonna hand draw a different bear. Every time somebody comes in and they're like, I want a lion. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not gonna hand draw a lion. I don't even know. I've never even seen one in real life. So, anyways, I use it and I end up clipping a lot of things together and then also drawing on either them, depending on what it is, like trees or whatever, or on the design. You know what I mean? Like hand drawing like leaves or whatever that I can to make it awesome, but
Yeah.
I will never do portraiture.
never. You don't like
I don't like it. It's so
Shading?
stressful.
that type of shading?
Shading and like making sure that there's no leeway in it. Like I can't just be like, I feel like moving the eye a bit.
Or you like that freedom?
Yeah,
And so there's
and it's
more
just so
structure.
structured.
Which is funny because like I feel like ornamental and like specifically dot work is like you have no freedom with it. Like that is as
That's fair.
direct and straight and as perfect as it has to be, right? Like
But I mean, like if you move an eye slightly, it's
Oh,
not that
yeah,
person
ab-
anymore.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you're messing up
Yeah,
someone's
yeah, yeah.
abuela. Like you
You're at
can't be
risk.
doing that.
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
risk factor. Yeah,
yes,
portraits
100%.
Yeah.
in general, yeah,
Yeah.
is a risk factor.
Thank you.
But I am grateful for AI in the sense where I can get some new lions and tigers and bears.
100%.
Because
Yeah.
I'd like to try that out.
yeah,
Yeah,
because
it's
you
super
do
great.
add elements, right? So
Yeah.
like having a different skull reference that could be, you could type in very creative things,
Yep.
and like it could be like a, especially for color realism. I've got some cool color realistic because I want to start dabbling into that. You could be like a 1920s style brunette woman that's 3D 3/4 profile that has a blue underglow and then a purple side coming from the right, and she's looking at you with a whatever gloomy face, photorealistic. Boom.
Yeah.
And then you have something really cool that you're not going to get on the internet. And if you want to do something realistic, but you can type all that stuff in and it'll kind of create it. And then obviously you're going to like do some creative stuff with it or change things and add
course.
things. But it's tremendous for that. And I haven't done, you could probably do patterns too.
I'm
I
gonna
haven't
find
tried
out.
the pattern
find out.
stuff, but yeah, definitely anything in terms of like imagery, like even if you want to like figure out like different ways of like how birds would kind of like flow, and maybe even if I'm like illustrating it, having that basis is so much easier than trying to think like, okay, a bird's wing flies. It just,
Yep.
it takes a lot of the guesswork out.
That's super fair. Like you don't have like a collection of real hummingbirds whipping around.
Yeah, I'm
that
not
you
going
could
outside being like, how is this robin move? Like it's just,
Yeah.
I'm not.
You want to be creative and be like,
Yeah.
okay, what if it's flying from this angle and how does it look?
Yeah, especially when if you keep doing like, you know, I've done like two hands with like a swallow on it. It's like, okay, I need to make this swallow different so it's not the same. So it's kind of, you know, you have that option now.
Gonna make it easier for people to have individual tattoos rather
Yeah.
than do you have a lot of people coming in being like, I just want this.
Not as much. Yeah, pretty lucky with people not getting super attached to like other people's tattoos or stuff we've already done. So it's been
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, because I know that happens a lot to some people for sure.
Not as much anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get that. I've had that this past year where somebody was like, no, I want this exact tattoo that you've done. And I'm like, what do you fucking mean? Like, this is so specific, too. There's so many elements. And I'm like, no, I can't fucking do that.
It's already on someone. Like if-
Yeah.
Yeah, that always blows my mind. If someone were to come in and say, "This is the thing I want," it's like
Ew.
we can use that as inspiration, but like someone already owns that.
I've had
Yeah.
people DM me being like, can I have the stencil of this? And I'm like,
What?
for what?
Oh,
and
to
they're
have
like,
exact-
I'm not in Canada and I want to get this tattooed.
No. What?
Ma'am, who let you out today? What? No, like
That's really bold.
it's like
But
just
people don't
blatant-
know.
And people don't know,
Yeah.
but I look at it. I'm like, I'm trying to be nice. Be like, no, thank you.
No,
I could
that's not how we
just-
do things
yeah.
because you don't want to be a dick.
Yeah,
You want to educate them
yeah,
without being like offended,
That's
but you're
stupid,
also
yeah.
a little bit offended.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck are you doing, lady? She don't know.
yeah,
Tattooing is relatively, kind of newish. You know what I mean? So like a lot of people, like, the industry
Yeah.
just blew up.
yeah.
I think post-COVID though, we've both been pretty lucky in that we're like putting up designs and people are like, "Yeah, I want that," and so I've just drawn this concept and people are contacting me and saying, "I want that concept."
Like that piece of art,
That
like you're
piece
up
of
for
art
grabs
did,
or
it's
whatever
up
you
for
did.
grabs, yeah, and
Yeah.
that's like been a lot of my work for the last year,
Doing up for grabs.
just doing up for grabs, and it's been great. Like
Yeah.
feeling really like blessed about that. Like that's kind of the dream, right?
It is. I was just gonna say that is the dream. Just do it. Just like you don't have to have any homework because you've already done it, and you get to do something creative that you enjoy doing, that you want to put your mental energy to. Because there's nothing worse than doing a tattoo that either you've done it a million times or you're just not into it, and then trying to put your mental energy and care into it so that it's good, like all the ones you want to post on your page. But you're just kind of like, I hate doing this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then
Yeah.
especially sometimes when they smell bad and they're little bitches or something or whatever, you know what I mean? That makes it that much worse. And you're like, I
Yeah.
fucking hate this whole experience. But anyways, so one thing we were talking about with gender, with ornamental and shapes is I've done a couple geometric tattoos where I find males and females differ on the types of shapes. Do you have that?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
100%.
And can you identify what men or women try to
It really
gravitate
depends
towards?
too.
There?
I think it's more of like a masculine feminine vibe that people are going for. So like,
And
you
what
know,
does that
it's
mean with shapes?
Pointy or round.
Pointy or round.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's
Is
like
that
if-
what it is?
Even if people want yeah. If
As
people
pointy
want,
as it can be.
yeah.
You want pointy.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
all I want. I just want a pointy.
That's the number one thing. If I get an email from someone, they're like, I love your mandala stuff, but like, I want it here. And like, I want it like jagged, pointy, very like, almost like daggerish kind of like on the outskirts, like no soft round edges.
And like I play a lot with like body shape. So if you're doing a back piece and it's for, it's on a like someone who's very feminine and they really want to maintain that flow, like you can play that up by using more of an hourglass shape.
Right.
Whereas
to go with their
on
curves.
like that dude who comes in and he's super jacked, we're just going straight triangle. Like
Oh, the
it's just
triangular
gonna
shape
be
of
the
their
big
shoulders.
V and
Yeah.
it follows the shoulders and it adds to that masculine shape, that stereotypical masculine shape.
No, I know, but it
Yeah.
is sort of in a way masculine, right? But
It's very, yeah.
But I find a hard time trying to identify like octagons and shit like that. I find like the dudes they like octagons.
I don't know. I think it's just again like a preference thing, but I think like overall like it just fits in a lot of like spaces for guys. I find I don't know, like we're always looking for like weird spots to get filled in, like our traps and shit. So like it's just easier to get drawn on and kind of works with whatever.
That's fair. I have wanted to. Okay, I have a handful of would you rather. So I'm just gonna
Okay.
start blasting at you. And we can just pick and choose whichever ones you're like vibing with. Okay, would you would you rather? I don't know if you've done what. What?
I was watching these earlier, so I was like, oh, here we go.
Hell yeah.
I'm trying to not make all of them mega inappropriate and just be like, would you want to tattoo pee pee or poo poo? Like, you know what I mean? But would you rather? I don't know if you've done either of these. Okay, I've never done this. I probably never will because it's not my style. Would you rather tattoo an eyelid or a fingernail bed?
Like the top,
You know-
like there.
Rip your, like some people
Oh,
get it
that.
removed.
Oh shit. Yeah.
Or an eyelid. Because to me, either are sketchy.
Yeah.
Like eyelids, I'm like,
I would definitely take the fingernail bed.
fingernail bed?
Yeah. Yeah. If it's healed, because I've ripped my fingernail off.
Gross.
And like
I've heard
have
it's
had
excruciating.
it's the worst. Yeah, and then I got a plane immediately after to like Portugal. I'm just like hoped I didn't get tetanus. Yeah,
What,
it was
ripped,
fine.
what ripped it out?
I had like long fake nails on, and I like went to go wipe something off the tub, and you know the part that like drains the excess water when it gets to a certain level. There's
Yeah.
like a slit there, and I did this, and this nail got caught in that slit and ripped the nail clean off.
You must have really been giving her.
I was just, well, it just like it got stuck. It just got stuck the right way.
Like rip your nail
And I
out.
looked down. I was like, "Oh shit! It ripped the nail off. That sucks." Like not realizing it was also my nail. And then I touched it, and then I felt myself like the walls start closing in, and I was like, "I'm gonna faint. I'm just gonna sit down here." And like texted my boyfriend at the time, being like, "You should probably come over here just in case I'm like unconscious and hit my head." But yeah, it was fun. So I would tattoo the finger.
Is it just gone? Like,
We'll clean
was
off.
it like that scene from The Fly? Where
Well, I found the actual nail, and then my nail was still attached to it, and you could see where it like goes up under like the cuticle. It had like a little like fan kind of that was like in there.
I hammered mine off. I was working out. I was at work, and it came across the sledgehammer and just took it clean off in like one shot.
Oh shit!
Just gone.
Because sometimes it gets even grosser if like it doesn't come off and all the blood pools underneath it, and then you have to
Oh,
drill
yeah.
it open. I've had so many people in like when I was in shop class have to do that. And I was like, I don't want to. Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
I feel like you'd be one of the most like, well, even you said just like touching it was excruciating. I don't know if I would. I think I kind of want to know what it's like. I think I'm not as curious of this as I am as this cringy, and it's not gonna. It's gross probably to tattoo.
Spongy.
Like, is it spongy? Like, what is it?
I would imagine it's spongy. I don't know.
Well, when
Yeah,
it
you
ripped
know.
off, it was spongy because there was nothing protecting it. But I feel like people who have like lost their fingernails and it doesn't grow back, eventually it just hardens. Like it doesn't stay because like your nails protecting
Like it
I don't know.
calluses or
I'm not a
just like turns
doctor.
into a
I
harder
don't
layer of
know.
skin?
I feel like it turns into like a harder layer of skin. I don't know. There's gonna be some like doctor in the comments be like, well, actually, the nail.
This is technically what happened.
Yeah.
But your nail grew back.
It grew back. I was surprised it didn't grow off like jagged or weird or anything, but it was spongy until like the nail started growing back. But eventually, like it did harden, like until the nail fully grew over top of it again.
So you're both are. You would tattoo your dirty ass nail bed, not your own, sorry,
Yeah.
but other people. Would you get? What about getting it? Would you rather get your eyelid or your nail bed done? I think I would get my eyelid done because I don't know if I can handle the excruciating pain of the finger.
Oh man, it's so close to your eye. Like,
Yeah.
scare
Hey,
me.
people do it.
I know.
No.
Maybe you got to get somebody who's done it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then yeah,
Would you trust that?
I would take the eye.
Yeah.
Like, how thin is your eyelid?
They put spoons underneath.
No, you're lying.
I'm not.
Well, that's for
There's-
laser.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
They have it for laser,
Yeah.
and then they also have like this like tool that's like basically like a taper basically that they put underneath and then tattoo on top of that.
I mean, I would feel more comfortable doing an eyelid if I had that. Not
Okay.
having that, I think, would trip me out more
Okay.
just because of how, yeah. Because even when I got my lip tattooed, when you're holding it and you feel the like rattle of the machine, I'm like, oh my God, is there going to be like a black like thing on the outside of my lip? It feels so thin and weird that I feel it would be the same for the eye.
Would you get your eyelid done or would you get your nail bed done?
I would get my nail. I don't trust anyone to do like my
Got it.
like eyes. Yeah.
Even with the spoon.
Even with the spoon, because then it just looks like you kind of like jacked up your makeup. I feel like when you like kind of close your eye, you just kind of have like if it's like you know what I mean. They're like, what's going on there?
That's
It's just,
fair, I
Yeah, I
forgot.
don't know.
Do you have any face tattoos?
No.
No. Would you get your eyelids done?
I mean,
Not
no.
over
I
your
wouldn't.
no, like over your nail bed.
Over my nail bed, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'd like now that I know that they're gonna put this barrier between my eye and the eyelid. I mean, good luck getting that in there, but if you can do that, and I know that that's there, yeah, I do the eyelid.
I think I'm so curious about my eyelids, and I don't know what that would, like, if that would hurt more than I'm like squeezing them,
I don't think it would
I'm
hurt
like-
at
Just gonna
all.
figure it out.
trying to decipher on how
I
painful.
don't think it would.
I've heard like some people who have some face tattoos are like it's not that bad, and you'd think it would hurt like a bitch,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
But I know a handful of people are like, no, it wasn't bad at all, depending
Yeah.
on the part, except for your jawline. Apparently that's agony.
Yeah.
Well, you got
that
it.
was-
You have your
yeah.
jawline done
Well, it's like it comes up high enough that even when he was stretching, he was pulling like
on your face.
over the so like it was just like machine rattling on bone. I'm good on.
You have a symmetrical neck. How satisfying
know.
is symmetrical neck? You know what I mean? Symmetrical, like anything, or even full body suits, no matter what it is. But if like a body art is symmetrical, I'm
When
like,
I see people with that, I was like, oh my god, the foresight for you to be like so smart and like have like that plan. I'm just like,
yeah,
yeah.
we didn't have that.
Sure
Tattoo
didn't.
artists have like a mix between half trashy tattoos and half phenomenal tattoos. Do you know what I mean? What
I
about, do you?
Yeah, yeah, it's just a mishmash now.
I just got biomech covered up. Like if that doesn't age you and like it's just
Old biomech?
yeah.
How old?
From when I first moved there, so it would have been like 2009-ish. I was like working at the shop and was like, oh, that's sick. Like let's put that there, like on my back, like it just in the middle of nothing. And then so that's gone now. But
Would you rather give up on the style that you're tattooing, that you do right now, so ornamental, and just do walk-in stuff? Or no, just no, whatever the other option is. It's a no?
immediately no.
Immediately no.
Yeah.
Or only tattoo bottoms of the feet in your style.
Oh, I would still only do bottoms of the feet. I don't. Yeah.
No, I'd do the walk-ins.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I think, I don't know what I would do. Like if I had to pick, do my favorite style on the bottoms of feet or tattoo trashy things. Or things I don't like to do.
Yeah.
Like walk-in Pinterest stuff. I think I would do bottoms of the feet. Because then I could get photos and I know it's not going to heal.
Yeah.
Tattoo the bottom of the foot?
That would be my concern. Like, I feel like I put so much work in there, and it's just not going to stay.
I feel like our style would work though. I feel like we could punch
Blast
it in
it?
enough. Yeah.
Have
Just
you
like
done
just
palms?
dot. Yeah.
Is it horrible to tattoo? Does it heal?
You'll have like bits and pieces that like will fall out or like not be obviously pristine as if you were to put it somewhere else, but like it's good enough
Yeah, fair.
for a palm.
For a palm. Just can't do work in construction, guys, because
Oh,
they shouldn't
yeah.
be getting tattooed anywhere.
No.
I've
Wrist
had
down.
poor results with palms. I've not done the bottom of a foot, so I just stay away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't do them.
Yeah, that's fair. Play it safe.
Go see Lando.
Fuck feet.
Yeah, you should-
Okay, well, on that note, thank you so much for coming on and making the trip out here from Toronto. I appreciate you guys.
Thanks
and it's
for
nice to
having
meet
us.
you. Yeah, of course. And I hope that you guys will get to come on again. Later on, I'm going to do more interactive stuff and have games and stuff. Just want
sounds
to get in
like
the
fun.
flow of things, right? Yeah. And hopefully it won't be so hot up here. You don't have a sweat mustache, so
Thank you.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, thank you.
it's a little warm in here. So on that note, let's get the fuck out of here. Cheers.